Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, across our beloved Copper Empire. You're watching Arnold Hollinet News, the only news you'll ever need because you have no other choice. Can I just say, God, I hate being right. I was literally on the money big time. What did I say? Bo-Katan being the longing character for October. I had to believe it. It had to be some new Mandalorian stuff. We are heading into Mandalorian Season 3, starting off with a brand new Paz Vizsla that we're going to unlock later on this week in a marquee event. And on top of that, he's going to be needed for a brand new epic confrontation event for Bo-Katan Mand'alor. So, guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. By the way, stay tuned tomorrow. I was working on a pretty wild video. But we're going to use this today, and we'll talk about the wild video tomorrow. You don't want to miss it, just like you don't want to miss today's sponsor. Foolish mortals, if you want to survive this Raid Shadow Legends ad, you have to go with the top scariest characters in Raid. Now, the first one we got to talk about is Madame Cerise. But she's not all tricks and treats. She has an AoE buff to spell, and she loves to spread the fear on your enemies. And to pair along with Madame Cerise, we got the Harvest Jack. Madame Cerise loves the dispel buffs on the enemies, and then you could use Dreams to Ash to prevent further buffs on those enemies. We have Bruckus the Shifter, and this guy will claw for survival until the very end. This October, be prepared for a scare by entering the Raid Yard. Download Raid using my links down below. Copy your endgame player ID, and then venture over to raidyard.plarium.com from October 15th to November 10th to win some amazing prizes ranging from epic and legendary Halloween-themed champions to Amazon gift cards with a total value of $20,000. If you haven't started playing Raid, now's the time. Use the link in my description or scan my QR code to get insane bonuses and a free champion Talia. And all this treasure will be waiting for you right up here. I mean, guys, look how on the money we were with all this. They're literally bringing out a brand new bow that's going to be leading a light side Mandalorian team into the new era, especially when we saw the Super Commando touch of and how Maul's taking dark side Mandalorians. I'm like, you think there's going to be a light side Mandalorian team? Literally, we are right on the money with all this. Dang, I feel pretty cocky after all these predictions coming to fruition. I want to start off with the Bo-Katan thing. She's going to be an epic confrontation character, which they note up here. Paz Vizsla will be required for the upcoming Bo-Katan Mand'alor epic confrontation. If you're wanting a little refresher, what does Mand'alor mean? Mand'alor is basically a special title assumed to the sole leader of the Mandalorian people. Their protectors establish a balance of control in the Mandalorian's warriors, clan, society. So that's where the title comes from. I'll be a little, I wasn't like too surprised to bringing out a legendary bow, but it's gonna be hard, having the bow that we're gonna get look a little different than the bow we already have. I guess visually the only difference will be she's got a dark saber now, which might be more than sufficient. But anyways, let's check this out. Bow will heavily interact with true damage. So characters like Paz Vizsla and the Mandalorian Beskar armor will synergize with her. Kind of interesting, Maul's been enjoying the Imperial Super Commando true damage lately. Additionally, Bow will introduce a new stacking locked buff for light side Mandalorians that increases their defense and health, which will make Paz very, very, very tanky. Once the whole squad is assembled, they will be able to complete with Galactic Legends and Grand Arenas with Bo's Omicrons. You got my attention. Grand Arena Omicrons, Mandalorians beating Galactic Legends, although Maul already kind of does that, but it's still gonna be impressive having another Mandalorian that could do so with their Omicrons and upgrading Datacron affix. Get that word out of here. Bo will be a powerhouse to be reckoned with. So yeah, we don't have any much more beyond that. It makes me wonder, are we even gonna get a legacy event this year? Maybe it's just gonna be the epic confrontation. Maybe that's it for the remaining part of November as well as December. Who knows? Maybe they'll do both. They'll squeeze it in. Let's talk about Paz Vizsla himself. I want to pause. It's easy to pick out the bad stuff about Galactic. I always put this out. Whoever the heck does this 2D art, you need to get a raise. Like, this is the highlight of quality Galactic puts out. That's even better than some AAA games. It's just unfortunate the game does not reflect the high quality work that goes into this 2D character. I mean, this is absolutely amazing. So it just sucks the game can't look as good as this. I feel like it's a little misleading to those that might see this like, oh, I want to play this game. So let's talk about Paz Vizsla. Resilient and difficult to dislodge tank who protects his allies. Wow, you don't say. Moderate high damage output for a tank, makes him difficult to ignore. Build and spend play style using his overheat resource. They're bringing in a lot of like burning, heating, overheating type of thing with this. Makes me wonder if it's, you know, it's kind of, I guess, sort of like the Galactic Challenge overheating thing that comes around once in a while. Light side as well. So a few things I want to go about in regards to the inspiration and strategy tips. They have this heat and overheat mechanic are directly inspired by his impressive firepower. Spoiler, like his gun overheating during his last stand, and of course giving the flamethrower more utility than just area damage. And what this is going to happen, what's going to happen here, stacking overheat as much as you can will help you get the most out of vengeful incinerations effects. And although overheat gives Paz Vizsla negatives towards its tenacity, so it's kind of, you know, overheat in the Galactic Challenge and you get killed off if you get too much, or however it is. Maybe I'm thinking of frostbite, whatever it is. Modding him with health mods is a good way of making sure he stays on the field. So we'll come back to the FAQs later on that we have here, but the important thing I want to get to before we get to the kit, this could be a marquee character. So Thursday, stop on by. We'll be unlocking this character and having ourselves a dang good time. What can we do with him beforehand? You know, we'll have to wait and see. So starting off with the basic, Stalwart Barrage. Oh boy, it's a little, you see that little party going on down there. Deal physical damage 3 times the target enemy. Gain 3 stacks of heat, which caps out at 10. Or overheat comes up to a maximum of 20 until the end of the battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, prevented. 5 stacks of heat, you gain 1 stack of resilient defense, a max of 10 until the end of the encounter. So remember, resilient defense, Mace Windu, Savage, the Malicos Datacron's offering right now. It's kind of like a taunt, a little bit easier to dispel, sort of. 1 stack of overheat, deal an additional instance of true damage to target enemy, which can't be evaded. All right, so again, we're just getting to the basics. You know, you gotta kind of sit back and read the rest of this to see how it all puts together. Ancestral Broadside. God, the animations look really fun. Just on these 2 abilities alone right here. Deal physical damage to all enemies. Inflict breach. We don't really see that on the, you know, the character side of things. And critical damage down for 2 turns. And you're going to gain 5 stacks of heat, maximum of 10, or overheat maximum of 20 until the end of the battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Gain 1 stack of resilient defense. So again, making sure we're getting lots of taunting as much as possible until the end of the encounter. Mand'alor and allies recover protection equal to 10% of Paz Vizsla's max protection. Now, I don't know how the new Bo-Katan's going to work, but at least we know with the current Bo-Katan that we have, you get a lot of protection regeneration out of the team. This is going to make it even better. A very durable team, allegedly a home for Beskar armored Mandalorian to also sit in there. So, and you know, Beskar Mando, you know, not the greatest, but he does have a good, you know, protection, cleansing, damage immunity. Imagine that here. Yeah, we're only seeing a small part of the picture. And then we have, what did I say, 5 yeah, so we want to inflict the daze. If we have 10 stacks here, 5 stacks, you get critical avoidance up for 2 turns. If you have 5+ stacks of overheat, you're going to move 15% turn meter from all the enemies here. Oh, that's a cool animation, man. It's really cool we're getting Paz Vizsla in the game again. I thought it was going to be unlikely it wouldn't happen, but it's just cool to finally see it happen. All right. Now we have to move on down below. Actually, did I? Yeah, so we want to go to Vengeful Incineration. So this baby right here, it's got a Zeta cooldown of 3. You're going to deal physical damage to all enemies. Inflict burning. Remember, burning by itself isn't all that special unless something else does something on top of it. You're going to inflict expose, stagger on a target enemy for 1 turn. Paz gains 50% protection up. That's a big chunk of protection up right there. And he gets Retribution for 2 turns, so constantly using his basic ability that we see up here, you know, helping him maybe get lots of the resilient defense on him. And on top of that, this ability deals 30% more damage for each stack of overheat Paz has. And you remove all stacks of overheat. So here's where finally you want him to get fired up, baby. And then you're going to turn that into a lot of juicy extra damage. And now they said he's going to do, you know, for a tank, good damage. You know, we'll have to wait and see what that actually looks like. But now we have a lot of reading with this unique ability. No leader on him. You know, I think it makes sense. He didn't really seem like a leader in the Mandalorian show. Mando is more of a leader. I think Bo-Katan, obviously, since she's going to be a epic confrontation. Man, when you really sit and think about it, epic confrontation, we haven't had one of those in years. General Anakin Skywalker, the last one we had, it's been a minute. I was actually thinking they wouldn't bring it back. What I wonder, though, let's wait till the very end. Something just, a light bulb turned on in regards to epic confrontation. Let's talk about the legacy of the House Vizsla, Zeta, Omicron. At the start of battle, Paz gains 10% defense and max health for each other Mandalorian ally. 15% defense and max health for each other light side Mandalorian ally. Whenever Paz gains taunt, he dispels and gains 2 stacks of resilient defense. So again, kind of like a Savage type of thing until the end of the encounter, or Mace Windu is probably more specific, more of a relationship there with that interaction. Paz has 10% critical avoidance and defense for each stack of resilient defense that he has. He's gonna be one thick cookie, but we're not done yet. At the start of each encounter, the ally in the leader slot is a light side Mandalorian ally, so no Maul. Paz gains Frenzy for 2 turns and 2 stacks of resilient defense, which caps out of 10, as we've been saying for 500 times, until the end of the encounter. Whenever Paz loses a stack of resilient defense, he gains 1 stack of heat until the end of the encounter, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. At 10 stacks, abilities and effects that generate heat instead generate overheat. It's gonna make more sense when we actually play the character, of course, until the end of the battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Whenever he gains overheat, he gains 10% turn meter. Whenever he's inflicted with a debuff that can be dispelled, he gains 5% turn meter. So he's gonna have some decent turn meter gains on him. It kind of feels like, base Malbus isn't the fastest guy in the world, but he gets a lot of passive turn meter depending how many buffs are on the enemy team. I'm kind of getting a small vibe here. But check this out. The first time Paz Vizsla reaches 1% health, he dispels all the debuffs on him, recovers 100% health, and gains damage immunity for 1 turn. Ooh, takes a bonus turn, and then he is defeated. It's kind of like a grand last stand if you think about it. I think that really is hammering in what we saw in Mandalorian Season 3. Is like, I'm going to give it all just one more time, and then I'm going to go away afterwards. Kind of cool. I got mild goosebumps thinking about the connection there. I think that's really darn cool. But we're not done. All other light side Mandalorian allies recover 100% protection. On top of that, during this bonus turn, his cooldowns are reset. He has 100% offense, and his heat and overheat sets are set to max. Oh, that's a lot of fun. But here's what we have here. What does heat do? We've been talking about heat, overheat. Probably shame on me for not showing this to you first. 10% potency per stack. Abilities get additional effects, and we've been showing overheat gets you 10% offense and minus 5% tenacity per stack. So again, there's a detriment behind it, but it's mostly benefits. Abilities gain additional effects based on the number of stacks overheat. Now, Terry Threat Omicrons, I'm not interested in them. I only like the one, the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, but nonetheless, maybe you don't have many teams. You need these Omicrons come in handy. You'll have a Mandalorian team. At the start of each encounter, Paz gains 3 stacks of resilient defense until the end of the encounter. Whenever an enemy is revived, so I know there's a lot of waves where you have to kill a stormtrooper like 500 times. This might come in handy. Paz is going to gain 5 stacks of heat or overheat until the end of the battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. 3 stacks of resilient defense, maximum of 10 until the end of the encounter. 50% turn meter. All light side Mandalorian allies are covered 50% health and protection. That's a lot right there. Inflict all enemies with healing immunity for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. Yeah, it's a lot. This seems like a lot of fun. Again, we gotta wait and see until we put the pedal to the metal, but just the fact that this is gonna be tied to an epic confrontation, I want to believe that this is going to be a very good unit at the end of the day. It's needed for Mand'alor. Bo-Katan also going to be a part of her team, as it's going to seem like. I'm going to talk about the epic confrontation thing at the very end here, but there's a couple things that might be interesting here. I think we want to probably read this right here just to understand it a bit more. How does heat overheat work together? Paz gains the heat buff by using his basic ability, Stalwart Barrage. First special ability, Ancestral Broadside, and when he loses stacks of resilient defense, heat stacks up to 10 and gives Paz an additional potency for each stack. Additionally, Stalwart Barrage and Ancestral Broadside gain different effects based on the number of heat stacks he has. When Paz is at max heat, he gains Stalwart Barrage, Ancestral Broadside, and losing stacks of resilient defense generate the heat. It's so confusing. When you play it, it makes a lot more sense, I have a feeling. They will now instead generate a new debuff, Overheat. Overheat gives Paz Vizsla additional offense per stack at the cost of losing some tenacity. Stalwart Barrage and Ancestral Broadside will have even more added effects, as we read, on the number of stacks of Overheat he has. And finally, his second special ability, Vengeful Incineration, can dump his stacks of Overheat for bonus damage. So I think you just gotta imagine, you're like, the gun's overheating. The longer you're shooting, you're doing, you're gonna get all these additional effects. I think that's what they're trying to imagine as they show here. The overheat does not expire. It goes with 20, but then they persist till Paz is defeated or his second special, Vengeful Incineration, is used. All right, here's what I want to talk about lastly here. this epic confrontation. I want to loop back around because as I was thinking, it's been a minute. It's been a while since we had an epic confrontation. I'm going to put out a mild suggestion. You take it as you will. The reason why I never expected epic confrontations to make a return is because the developers hated people hoarding currency to get the shards of the characters. Let's let's show you what I'm talking about. Bring them on over real quick. What we have going on here, it's a non-issue nowadays, but General Anakin Skywalker, Malik, one of the biggest grind points was the shards. It's like you have to wait, and then people started hoarding like you see here because they started adding exclusive ships. They started adding exclusive, the characters in here as well. Now, I myself used to have 500,000 of these Mark 1 guild event tokens. And I'm like, it's been so many years. And now I'm probably going to hoard my currencies. No confirmation whether you're going to need the currency of epic confrontations. What does it usually mean from a historical context? They might change it up just like they change up the rules for legendary for Grand Inquisitor. Maybe the suspicion is they'll just give you the 7-star and they'll call it a day. But just to play it safe, if you like me and you might be getting this new Bo-Katan Mand'alor, whether now or later, you maybe want to hoard some currency. And I'm probably not going to spend any more of this, especially since I feel like it's harder to get this currency that was needed for General Skywalker, Darth Malik, Hermit Yoda, and Wampa. I'm going to start hoarding up. Do it as you will. Once we get official confirmation, I think we can make different adjustments, but it's funny seeing this back. I thought they were going to stop because the community hated it and developers hated it. We started just hoarding our currency because they want us to spend it and upgrade our roster. So we'll have to wait and see on all that. I'm really excited, guys. I'm really excited to get some Mandalorian stuff. Yeah, Mandalorian season 3 wasn't my personal favorite. There's aspects that I did like about it. I love Mandalorian 1 season 2. But it's going to be fun nonetheless. Getting Paz Vizsla, leading up to a new bow, seeing Mandalorians, yet another Mandalorian team, the light side, be able to take on some Galactic legends. Dang, I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks, months, however long it takes for all this to happen. Let me hear your thoughts down below. You excited? You think they still might do a legacy event like we were all kind of expecting? Epic confrontation? I don't think many people have been talking about that for a while. Leave that like, comment down below as I say. And always remember, until we meet again, that it's great to be in the Empire today.